Making a gift you never thought possible. It was May 2011. It was the weekend. It was exactly 1 month after my oldest daughter's bat mitzvah. The bat mitzvah was fabulous. We had friends and family fly in from all over the country. And during this remarkable event, my mother got up there and read Torah in front of the whole congregation. It was a beautiful thing. And here I was on the phone with my mother, assuming it's our regular check-in, and heard the worst news possible. Honey, I have pancreatic cancer. I have 6 to 8 months to live. I was silent. My heart sunk. How could this be possible? How could it be possible that she wouldn't be there to see her youngest granddaughter, my youngest, have her bat mitzvah in another year? One of my mom's greatest lessons was to always be learning. Now, my mom, her name's Ada, never had a high school education, but learning was always important to her. And in her 60s, she, after my father passed away, learned Hebrew, had her own bat mitzvah, and read Torah every day in her synagogue. The first time I showed up, she handed me a stack of her estate planning papers and said, "Honey, you're the financial person in the family. After my gifts to charity, does it go equally between you and your brother and sister?" And I quickly looked at it, and the document did. It was perfectly fine. But what I noticed was that she was only giving 5% to charity. This was shocking to me. She raised us to do better than that, and all of her children were successful. So separately, my brother and sister and I talked to her and encouraged her to give more to charity. So we spoke to her, and ultimately that giving went from 5% to 10%. With that 10%, she gave the largest gift to charity that her synagogue had ever received. And what they did, she created an education endowment for the community. They made this beautiful plaque to memorialize her, and it says, "Always be learning." It was the most extraordinary thing because she never thought it would be possible in her lifetime. Then, another discussion we had is she turned to me and she said, "Honey, what are you going to do with your inheritance?" Now, it wasn't huge by any stretch of the imagination, but for me, it was really clear what I was going to do. I looked at her and I said, "I'm going to take the family to Israel. I'm going to create my own charitable fund, and the remainder was going to go to the girls' education." Now, many of our friends were like, "You're going to create a charitable fund? That could be a year's college education for your 2 daughters." But to us, it was more important to ensure that we kept and honored our word to my mom, and we also knew our kids were going to go to school no matter what. Well, we created that fund, and it was the most remarkable thing we ever did. Here's what we learned from our children. In the first meeting we had with our donor relationship officer about our fund, they were asking us if we wanted to invest in the main pool or a socially responsible investment pool. My youngest, who was 14 at the time, said, "The socially responsible pool, of course." My husband and I looked at each other, shrugged our shoulders, and said, "Okay." Then we got to the fun part. Let's make our first grant. Let's give some money away. And we're filling out the paperwork, and my oldest daughter looks at us, and we're like, "Okay, we'll give to Lincoln High School." And she's like, "Mom, Dad, Lincoln is a wealthy school. We should be giving to a school that isn't as wealthy." So with that, we had our donor relationship officer figure out what are the needier schools in our area through free and reduced lunch, and we made a gift to both. Your children teach you. If you listen, your children will teach you. And it's up to us to use the opportunity to move that forward, teach those values, life stories, education to our children to make the world a better place. Thank you.